Welcome to Bleav in Chargers. We made it, Lo. It has arrived. Week 1, Sunday, September 8th, Chargers versus Raiders. First, though, a huge thank you to all of you. Without you procuring the podcast where you prefer, consuming Bleav in Chargers on YouTube, we would not be able to continue doing this. We love it. It is something we look forward to every single week, and a big part of it is you rating. If you have 30 seconds to leave a review, that helps grow the pod as well. It has been a tremendous success, so thank you to all of you for doing that. Obviously, the centerpiece, the spine of Bleav in Chargers is the great Lorenzo Neal, the all-decade performer, one of the great Chargers in the history of the organization. 17 years of violence that this man was able to endure and dispense is on display every single week, and it is especially on display, Lo, for Raider Week. And what a way to start the season. Before we get to the Raiders matchup, though, I do want to acknowledge, yes, timing is tough. We have a window when, we all have other jobs that we're doing. This is a passion thing for us. It is also a bit of a gig, but really it's more passion. So
Sure.
It's hard for us to move and find a window for this. So yes, we recorded the pod and the YouTube last week, Lo, and then things changed quite a bit. And I'll just start and toss it to you with this. It really shows what Joe Ortiz and Jim Harbaugh and this team is all about. And that is wherever you can find a window to improve the team, you are going to improve it through trade, through waiver claims, through free agents. And it's as simple as the 53rd man goes to the practice squad and a new 53rd man arrives on the roster. And it happened almost immediately after we posted this last week.
Yeah, it really did. You saw the things of willing and dealing that, that Joe Ortiz was doing, a guy from friggin' the Tennessee Titans. You're bringing a corner, you're bringing offensive line, D-line. I mean, you watch the way that the Chargers are willing and dealing. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, people are like, God, what are you guys talking about? This didn't happen. So it's just interesting just to watch the NFL, and it's going to continue to move. I think it's going to slow down now. I'm getting closer to, open the kickoff on Sunday. But you're going to see some moving parts. And Joe Ortiz, he did it in Baltimore, and you see he and Harbaugh is not disappointing. They're doing it here in LA with the Chargers.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's, and it flies right in the face of what I was discussing. I was the one kind of driving the conversation. I don't want to put it on you, but said, do you really want to give up a draft pick, that could be Kamani Vidal, that could be Jamari Sawyer for a backup quarterback that the hope is never sees the field? And the answer was speaking to what your concern was, Lo. To go get Tyler Heineke, someone who had led the Commanders to, I think at the time they were the Washington football team, or maybe they were even the Redskins. I don't know what they were at the time, but led them to a playoff appearance, and then earned a starting gig the following year. And Jim Harbaugh in his press conference about, 5 days or so ago, I think is when he was talking about it. He said, competitors welcome. He just kept saying that over and over and over again. And I think it speaks to, just wanted to see a little more competition, was not comfortable with what he saw from that group.
And I love it. And you and I, we talked about it. I remember a couple of weeks ago, we went kind of back and forth, and you said, hey, look, Stick's probably not going to play. But we have a guy in Justin who's, if he goes down, the season probably is going to come to a screeching halt. And that's why Harbaugh, and that's why we kept talking about, hey, though, if he does go down for a week or maybe 2, you have to have a guy that's going to go in there that's going to give you a chance. And what I saw in the preseason, and that was alarming to me, I didn't see it. Now, I saw spurts of it from Stick. I saw spurts, but I didn't see the consistency that would merit that you say, hey, look, we can roll this guy out there. So that's why Harbaugh say, look, let's welcome competition. Let's bring in another guy that we know if something happens, he's shown that he can win, not necessarily win a Super Bowl, but he can go in there and hold it down, or at least it's going to make, the backup quarterback even work harder to secure his job and to make this coaching staff stop thinking about getting a backup and I'll be that guy.
Yeah, you look at who was acquired, and of the 3, you really had 3 players, right? You've got Taylor Heineke, who's going to be your number 2 quarterback. You've got Hassan Haskins, who I think is probably going to be the number 4 running back. Maybe he jumps Vidal to he's just we talk about the way that running back room is built.
Yeah.
He's more Gus Edwards, right? He's 230, 225 pounds. So he's more of that hammer that replaces Jarrett Patterson, who's now on the practice squad. But really, it's Elijah Molden. That's going to probably have the biggest impact just because of versatility. Here is someone that is, for all intents and purposes, slot as a safety, but can play some nickel, can play some outside corner, and you look at, and this is what I'm talking about on the back end of the roster. If right now it's AJ Finley is that third safety, but I think they probably wanted a little bit more competition, and they're like, okay, is Tony really going to push AJ for that third safety spot? Maybe, maybe not. But Elijah Molden's available. That's a guy that can push AJ, and now we can unlock Derwin. And now, if
Right.
we feel comfortable with where we're at with our safeties, Derwin can play dime backer. Derwin can play on the line of scrimmage. Derwin can be the nickel for this game. And I think that's
Oh
the
yeah.
sort of thing that you're looking at, and how they improve this team and how far. And it's not just Elijah Molden playing 20 snaps or 15 snaps. It's what that means for Derwin and how they can deploy him.
Oh, no question. You look at Elijah Molden, this guy, acquired him from the Tennessee Titans. This guy, that he can play. He's been a starter. He can do some things, and he's versatile. So now you're, like you said, you unleash Derwin. Now he can cover. He can cover a tight end. He can match it with Kelsey. So now you can do other things with him, like you just alluded to. He's, to me, he's a step above. I'll say 2, 3 steps above. Remember the Jets drafted the safety, and he ended up going to now he's in with the
Jamal
Seattle.
Adams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guy that can hit, can play in the box, really physical, ready, limited in space, limited in covering. So they had to put him up. Derwin James is that same player, but way more versatile. So that's what you have in a Derwin James.
Yeah, there's a great piece. Our friend Daniel Popper posted it at The Athletic, and Daniel does incredible work. He's just as good as anyone I've ever been around on the beat for any of the teams that I've covered here in town, be it the Lakers, the Dodgers, or the Chargers. And he sat with Derwin, had a conversation with Derwin, and it was something that he and I have talked about repeatedly. And we would have conversations about it last year. And it was clear, like, Derwin is such, well, number one, he's got the potential to be one of the best players in the NFL. Like, he's that, just the size, the speed, the strength, the smarts, all of that allow him to become that level of a player where he can impact a game from so many different spots. And the danger there is what Brandon Staley fell into. And it's broken down beautifully by Pop in this piece, where he shows you an individual game. And he's like, in this individual game, he is playing high safety for 10 snaps, slot corner for 6. He's on the line of scrimmage for 7. He's a dime backer for, and you see the games so many different ways, and your responsibilities are so different from each of those positions that it just became too much. And it neutralized his impact. And so, to me, the addition of Molden, and why that third safety was so important, the inclusion of Tony Jefferson on the initial 53, is we can't do that. You can't ask that of that guy inside of a game. And I know we talked about this earlier about Derwin, and it's funny because Daniel wrote about it in the piece, and he and I were talking about it after the presser with Jesse Minter, and we were like, what do you think he means by that? And I said, I think what he means is each game Derwin is going to have a role, and that's going to be his role. And that will change week to week, not snap to snap. And that's how you make him one of the most valuable, chess pieces, queens on the chessboard, as we like to say, in the NFL. And so it's a great read, and I'm anxious to see how they choose to deploy him against the Raiders on Sunday, because there's so many different things I can envision for Derwin in that game. Is it Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer? Is it as a dime backer? Is it as a high safety? It's going to be fun to see what that first assignment is, because they feel like maybe they have the personnel that allows them to do that.
Yeah, Money, I'll break it down to them, because I know we got so many surfers, because you surf and you get out every morning at 5 o'clock and you're catching some waves. Let's break it down like this. Like, where you're going every morning. Usually the waves, what it is. But if you go to Hawaii, if you go to the different places where the surf is different, the tide's different, all these different places, you would have to get acclimated. And you're like, okay, let me get there in Hawaii. I'm going to be here for a week. By the time you get out there every day, you know what's going to do. You kind of get familiar.
Yeah.
You got German. He's in Hawaii. He's in Moscow. He's everywhere every week. It's like, it's too much. And that's what you're saying. You're like, look, I don't mind going to these places, but let him get one down. Yeah. Put him in. He can handle all of them. But if you want him to be effective And if you want him to ride that wave and get in there and touch the wave as he's going down and stand, what does it say in the breakout? What is that called?
I think you're probably talking about getting covered up, getting in the tube.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to
barreled. You
stay
want to
with
get
the barrel. Bill, I'm doing it, money. I'm working,
Got
money.
it.
I'm working. I'm
Got it.
going somewhere. The preacher's working right now. And stay in the barrel. And he needs familiarity. And that's what you're saying. You're saying, hey, look, this week, hey, we know he can do all this, but let's let him play free. Let's let him be the guy that we know he can be if we say, this is what you're going to be doing this week. This is instead of saying playing 5-6 different positions in one game. So, yes, I think you're going to see him be way more effective.
Yeah, and I think, and so I think it's important just kind of set that as the foundation of the thing, because, look, it changed, and I do think it signals. I think it's important to address it as opposed to just jumping right into the Charger Raider game on Sunday, because I think it shows you what this is going to look like all year, and something that maybe we haven't been used to, and that is the churn. And what did Coach Harbaugh in his presser said his dad Jack came up with the name Chef Ortiz. Chef Ortiz is out there, getting you the ingredients to make sure you bake the perfect cake every week, and that's what we're going to see. Can we improve the team this week? Can we improve the team next week? Can we? This 53 is not what they envisioned the 53 being at the end of the year. It's can we continue to improve? And so, love to see it. It's exciting, I think, for the fans to know that no expense is going to be spared, and if we can get a fourth safety that's going to help us win a game, then that's what we're going to do.
Were you surprised Dicker got $22 million extension? Was that something that
No, I think he is one of the most valuable players on this team. And look, a lot of that is scar tissue from having been with this team since 2017 and seeing the number of kickers they've gone through, the number of games that they lost because of kicker issues, the number of games they lost because of punter issues. They had a punter that just routinely outkicked his coverage and would have these massive returns that would break your back. So the fact that they recognize how important the third phase of the game is, and I think just based on how Coach Harbaugh, how his seasons went at Michigan, where he is in these grinded out, one possession, every snap matters, every phase matters. I think you recognize how important, and there is something about, he's different than any kicker they've ever had. And I've had a chance to, and I don't want to take shots at any of them, but this dude does not give a rip. He just, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, he's just, well, go on and kick a 55-yarder. What's the big deal? Yeah, he's just so cool. He so just does it now. Indifferent. Like just, he's his own guy. He's the guy.
Where does it come from? Do you talk to when you ask him, hey, what's up with this?
He's just goofy. He's kind of goofy. He really is. And I love it. Like, he's just kind of like, you know what I mean? He's got his own personality.
And that's what makes him relaxed. Goofy. Exactly. Hey, it's not a big, because guys put too much, they put a lot of pressure on themselves, and you see it, especially when it comes to skill positions like that. The punter and the kicker, they go out there, you watch their face, and they're so into themselves, like, okay, I got to do everything right. And they go out there and they miss at the ball. You watch them at practice, they're just nails. You're just saying this guy can make that transition from practice field to the game and still have that same demeanor. That's hard to do, especially in that position.
And it's worth, I think he's worth every penny. I don't think there's any question. I mean, look, he's had the best first 2 years of any kicker in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
It's 50 of 53. Like, what do you want? That he's not missed an extra point yet. And I'll tell you a quick story about Dicker.
Please.
We were playing, the Chargers were playing the Ravens. It's last year. So it's last year. And, we're so high above the field. You have this bird's eye view. And they're the first ones out there. You know how it is, low warming up. The specialists get out there and they start kicking. And Justin Tucker is routinely acknowledged as the best kicker in the history of the NFL, perhaps. A 66-yarder on his resume. You think of all the game winners, all the late game heroics that he's been through. He's an exceptional kicker. But he plays mind games with you. Usually, each kicker will be on their own side of the field, and they just work, and then they flip sides, and then they work on the other side of the field for the win and stuff like that. Tucker lines up behind Dicker on every kick. So Dicker, let's just say he's at the 40. Tucker would set up on the 45. Dicker would move back to the 45. Tucker would move back to the 50. And you could tell he was trying to get in his head and maybe trying to force him to move. Like, hey, I'm the elder statesman. I'm the vet. you acknowledge, you give me the right of way here. And Dicker just didn't give a damn. He just
Love it.
was like, he's standing in front of him, so Tucker has to wait for him to kick and then get out of his way before he
Oh,
can kick. And I was just,
really?
and I remember saying to DJ, I'm like, are you watching this? And he's like, you're the only idiot that really cares about this. Like, you pay so much attention. And Tom Telesco used to laugh because I would always ask him a question about special teams. It was just something that I was always tuned into, to how these strange individuals, because they are wired differently, the way they go about their business. And Cameron Dicker always impressed me with,
That's amazing story. But no, I'm serious. For you to see that little detail, that's huge.
Yeah.
For a guy of if his status, if you try to punk him and bully him, and you see Dicker like, nope, I'm not moving. Let me finish my kick. I'm going to wind up. I'm going to take my time, go through and I don't care. For him to do that, because I've been around a lot of them, and you remember Nate Kading, great kicker,
Yeah.
to kick the ball, but you saw in the games. I mean, you remember that Jets game? It's like yesterday. This guy friggin' make field goals all day and friggin' an unbelievable kicker, had some success, but had to go. Certain guys have to go even seek counseling and seek other sports psychology, sports, because you're right. To your point, they walk by a different drum.
How about this, Lo? I was looking up, for those of you watching, thinking I wasn't listening. I was listening to everything he was saying, but I wanted to pull this up because now it came back to me.
Yes.
In that game against Baltimore, right? It is the Chargers score a touchdown. They cut it to 13-10 in the fourth quarter, right?
Yeah.
We are at the 2-minute, 57-second mark of the fourth quarter with Baltimore up 13-10. Defense comes up big. Thule stops Justice Hill on a run. So now it's 4th and 1, and they elect to kick the field goal and make it a 6-point game instead of going for it on 4th and 1 in a 3-point game, right? Because Dicker had already, I think Dicker had already drilled a pretty long field goal, if I remember. Now it was a 39-yarder. Anyway, knowing, I think, that Dicker's got a really big leg, hey, let's go up 6 and force them to drive against our defense to win the game. Justin Tucker sets up for a 44-yard field goal, wide left. He got in Tucker's head. Dicker ended up getting in Tucker's head in that game, and the Chargers ended up. And this, by the way, this was, I think, that's right. This might have been the game that Justin got hurt on, I think. Anyway, so yes. $22 million for Dicker. He's worth every penny. I'm very excited for him. He's a joy to be around. He's got good energy, good vibes. The players absolutely love him. And you feel, look, he did it in the preseason. 58-yarder, had 10 yards to spare. 55-yarder, had 10 yards to spare. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything football, every stat, matchup, live odds, spreads to bet on during the games. Yes, in-game you can do this. If you know your stuff, get in on their $200,000 mega contest. Pick 5 games against the spread every week. It's your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, hit up the online casino, blackjack, poker, over 150 slots, and the website today has all of it for you. Get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here.
Maddie, thanks for getting that bet online. And tell me something about your boy Scott Madlock, baby, the fullback.
Yeah.
They said I seen that. They named him as a starter. Surprised in how much would he play fullback? You think they'll do some 21, some 22? Do you also think how much would he play on defense? What do you look at this guy as?
Yeah, I think that versatility is, if you have versatility, then you have value. You have much more value to this particular staff. This staff loves being able to move players around, whether it's defensive back versatility, whether it's offensive line versatility, tackle, center, guard. I think in the case of Matlock, I think he was sliding down that depth chart a little bit on the defensive, in the interior of the line, with the addition of Tier Tart, with the drafting of Justin Aboigbe, with Morgan Fox coming back, with the signing of Poona Ford. Tito is now healthy after a year of trying to get back into it. They're very excited. So I think they looked at him as, we really like him. This is only his second year. He's still a developing player. He's got great practice habits. The players love him. He's not a leader, but he's someone that
Works
does
hard.
everything right.
Right.
Can we find value? He did this at Boise State. He would line up as an extra. He would basically line up as a tight end. Caught a couple touchdowns at Boise State as a tight end, as that blocking tight end. So I think they looked at that and said, can we is who's the better fit here? Is it McFadden? Is it Matlock? Let's try them both. And I think, he's an athlete. He's probably the best golfer. And we talked about that. He's probably the best golfer on the team. So he's someone who's an athlete. So I'm not surprised because I think they needed to find that added value, I think, to warrant keeping him on the 53 with the additional card.
How do you employ him, Matt? Because I'm asking because I know you're up there close and personal. What is he in and out of meeting rooms? Is he going to be a guy that you're going to see in the tight end room? He's going to be in the fullback room, in the running back room for a minute. Is he going to be in the D-line room for a minute? Is this a guy that you think can handle what they're going? I mean, he's that Derwin James, but in a lesser fashion role. But think about what you're asking him to play 12 personnel, go in as a tight end. Is he going to go in as a D-line? So how do you think this guy's time is around the building meetings?
Yeah. I mean, I think you'll probably be able to speak to it better, Lo. I mean, I don't think there's but maybe 3 to 5 snaps, on offense would be my guess. I don't think it's much. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
It depends on the game. Depends on the game. If they got it humming, running the ball, and things happen, he might get 15 to 20. I mean, I used to play in plays where I played 5 snaps, and I feel like I should give my check back, and then, you go to the, and then I get to the Chargers and I'm playing 30, 40 snaps a game, because we had LT, certain teams sometimes, get in with the Jets at times, one back or, 12 personnel, like you alluded to, and I'm 5 snaps. So I totally understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, I think he probably ends up playing more snaps on offense than defense. Just looking at the depth on that side now of what they've been able to add. I think if I had to guess, I think so. I think because I do think he's a little more athletic than McFadden, and I think he's strong enough. So for me, I think he sort of beat McFadden out for that fullback spot.
Yep.
And that's why they switched him to number 44, and that's why they list him as a starting fullback on the depth chart. So that's my guess, is maybe that was the battle, was Matlock versus McFadden. All right, to the Raiders. So unfortunately, I went back and watched the 2 Raider games from last year. Ooh. And look, as ugly as the 63 to 21 game was, that first game, that week 4 game, man, that's a horror film. That is a Max Crosby slasher film. What he did to the Chargers offensive line, man, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. The entire time I've been calling games since 2017. I think I can think of the Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett had a monster game against them, one game, but nothing like this. You go back and watch that game, and he wrecked it. Justin Herbert being Justin Herbert is ultimately what overcame, and allowed them to win that game in week 4, even their record at 2-2. But Max Crosby, and that was the game that Rashawn Slater got hurt early, and that was a big part of it. Is Slater was blocking, Pipkins got destroyed by Crosby. The 2 of them met back to back at Herbert, and Rashawn's leg got caught underneath him as he was being sacked and bent backwards. But in that game, Crosby had 9 pressures.
Amazing.
9.
Amazing.
He's the best pass rusher in the NFL right now.
Oh, but you know what? I'm same church, same pew, Matt. I'll sit on your lap on that statement because you're absolutely right. People talk about and look, Bosa is unbelievable. Nicky Bosa for the Niners. Yeah. But what Crosby, how I believe he separates himself. You stop his first move, he's going to get you with a second. If you stop his second, he's going to get you with his third. If you watch the motor on this guy, he doesn't get tied up, and he knows how to get uncomfortable, make guys uncomfortable. I'm with you. This guy, his first and second and third move, they're all in one. So I'm with you. This guy, he's going to be a tough out for the Chargers Sunday.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how because one of the things that Coach Harbaugh said about Hassan Haskins when he was asked about what, they went through each of the players that they acquired, what is it that you liked about him? One of the first things out of his mouth was incredible pass protector. So I'm anxious to see how they want to deal with Crosby, because Rashawn Slater he's been in and out. They don't tell you anything about injuries, working through something. So hopefully he's 100%. You've got a rookie right tackle talk about a first assignment, welcome to the NFL moment. Now Joe Alt's being asked to slow down the best pass rusher in the game. You've got Will Dissly, one of the best blocking tight ends. Now you've got Scott Matlock out there. Like, how are they going to try to slow him down in the pass? Look, if Rashawn Slater's 100%, I'm comfortable. Yeah,
Right.
Mac's going to win some, Slater's going to win some, and you adjust. You call the play away from where he's coming, and you adjust that way, and you feel good about Alt with the tight end over there, and you leave Rashawn one-on-one, and you figure it out. But to me, that's going to be number one. What do you do with Max Crosby?
And what you alluded to, and we talked earlier about what the fullback can do. When you said you got a guy that, like where he could play tight end, he can play fullback. So what I used to do back in the day, I remember, this name, Dwight Freeney.
Oh,
yeah. You're like, exactly. You know what he could do. So when we were tied to the Chargers, no matter what, if Freeney went to the open side, I, as a fullback, would adjust to that side. So we would actually you had a double team on him. So I tell the tackle, don't get beat inside. Don't get beat inside. I'm going to have your outside edge. So that I got the outside. So look for Harbaugh, and let's see how the offense do that. Let's see if we talked about fullback getting 3 or 4 plays. Now you can go 21 personnel, and it doesn't matter whatever, because if he flips side, because you have a pass rusher that can go to either side, he's going to be saying, hey, look, I'm going to the open side. The fullback now moves to that open side, so you let him adjust with Crosby. So that is something that the Chargers can do to combat that rush.
Yeah, and now, you've got Christian Wilkins on the inside, and you've got Trey Pipkins that's learning a new position at guard. You've got Bradley Bozeman, who, I think you watch his film, and he's a much better run blocker than a pass blocker. So now you're dealing with, one of the best interior pass rushers in the NFL. And Christian Wilkins is not a small interior pass rusher. He's a big dude. So I totally understand why the Raiders decided to go out and spend all their money on that. The idea that you could put those two guys next to each other, you can't double team them both. One of them's going to have a one-on-one, and you're going to say they probably are the odds-on favorite to win their one-on-one. So for me, I think about the right side of that line versus the left side of that line, right? Zion is probably pound for pound the strongest guy on the Chargers. He is a massive human being, and he's next to Rashawn Slater, who once he gets anchored in his hands on you, it's over. Right. It's just over. So I'm guessing you're going to see a lot of Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins opposite Joe Alt and Trey Pipkins. And that's where the chess match with Greg Roman and Antonio Pierce comes into play, and Patrick Graham, who's their DC, comes into play, and how they're going to try to neutralize each other's strengths. Tip of the spear, Coach said it. It's you got to have the offensive line block it up, and I've got great belief in this line and what they've invested in it, and how they intend to deploy it, and how they want to run the ball to try. And that's the other thing too, though. Like, I cannot stress enough the last 3 years how limited the run game was, and how zero fear was expressed by defenses that this team could run the ball on them. There were no heavy boxes. Every box was light, and they still stopped the run. And so pass rushers were able just to tee off and not worry about having to slow a run game down. So I'm anxious to see if they just come out and hand off just 5-10 straight plays. Hey, we're going to run it down. We're going downhill, man. We're not walking backwards. Our O-linemen are walking forwards. Yes, you've got great pass rushers in Crosby and Christian Wilkins, and you invested, a top 10 pick in Tyree Wilson. We're going this way. We're not going this way. We're going forward, and that's what so to me, that would force the defensive line to adjust to them. They don't want to have to adjust to the D. Let the D adjust to you.
Absolutely. And look for the Chargers to say, hey, let's do a little trap game early, because they're going to be trying to get up the field. Because they got those big guys, like you said, they want to penetrate, create a new line of scrimmage. Okay, let one through. Let's trap him. Let's make the defense put holes in themselves. And then at times we're going to double team and push, double team guys. We got to do that. Trade block. You got to put a hat on the hat, because that's what the Raiders are doing. They're saying they got big guys up front and pass rushers that's going to be more physical than you. And that's what the Chargers want. That's the kind of game they want. Look for the Raiders, to me, man. They're going to come out and play a lot of man coverage, because they're saying depending on that front four and those guys that they have, to put pressure on the quarterback and saying, they can't block us. They're going to be, if we go man coverage, they're going to have to win one-on-one. Somebody's got to win one-on-one. If they want to double our
Right.
guys, we're going to find a way. So what is the Chargers? That means you're going to be playing man-to-man. The Chargers are going to have to get in some bunch formation. They're going to have to stack receivers. They're going to have to get rid of the ball early. And that's where we get to see what Justin can do and how good is this quick game. Look for the Chargers to come out in quick game at times to say, let's slow these guys down. Let's let those guys that think they're getting to me, but the ball, 1, 2, 3, the ball's out of his hands. 1, 2, 3, Justin has to get rid of the ball, and it's got to be by design. Look for the Chargers, run in motion to declare man or zone. And they're going to do that. Okay, if it's man, we're going to stack you behind. So now they have to play off because they know that the receiver is going to push the apex, and now the underneath receiver can break the route off. He can't be, and then the defender, he can't be right, man or zone. So you're going to have to see now that the Raiders are going to have to adjust and have to check to some type of zone, triangle that, 3-by-3, where it's a triangle, got one guy playing at the point, two guys on the side. And that's where the receiver has to read it out to say, okay, I'm sitting in those holes. So yes, I'm excited about this game, Money, because it's going to be a chess match coaching, and we're going to see Harbaugh, Antonio Pierce, how these guys, implement their chess match.
And I love, what they did and what they put on film against the Cowboys 2 weeks ago. That Darius Davis sweep that went for 70 yards and a touchdown. You're going to have to run those. You want to freeze Max Crosby, you want to freeze Tyree Wilson, then that's what you're to do. It with Q. He's good at it. Do it with Darius Davis with that 4.3 speed, and pause. That you've got to create pause. You've got to create that split second of you have to make a decision. And you can't just come flying forward because you're going to be partially responsible for this guy as he's flying down the line and taking that handoff. And so I think you're going to see some of that early. Even if it doesn't work, just force them to honor it. And I love that it's on film and that it worked the way it worked against Dallas to plant that seed in the back of their head. But you're right. I mean, and look, why wouldn't you? With this wide receiver group, no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams. Your number one receiver is Josh Palmer, who's been a number 3 his whole career, his first 3 years. Your number 2 receiver is a rookie in Ladd McConkey, who has not played a snap in the NFL yet. Your number 3 is DJ Chark, who's on his 4th team now and 5 or 6 years. Prove it. Come out here and prove it. If you beat us, fine. And I think that's sort of something that I have always been an advocate for is, hey, man, just force them to prove it.
Yeah.
Based on what you see, what the talent level is.
Sure.
And speaking of man, Lo, one of the things I went back and watched every one of Davante Adams' routes. And look, guys that are over 30 typically do not make an impact in this league. It's a precipitous drop at that particular position because of the athleticism that's required. Davante Adams is an exception to that rule. And man, they played him with so much cushion. And I'm anxious to see what Jesse Minter opts to do because he's so good in open space, and he's so fluid. And I get it, man. You get up on him and he's going to shake and he's gone. So I get that part of it too. But then I dug a little bit deeper, and it looks like he does much better against zone than man. So I think with Christian Fall, I know with Asante it's going to be a little tough. Like, this is where the whole Dean Leonard conversation comes in, where maybe this is give me the 6'1" guy that's 205 pounds, 210 pounds, and just get in there and see what happens. Just kind of get in there and jam him a little bit and see how this thing looks, because he had a lot of room to operate in those 2 games, and it just looked easy. Now, look, it's Davante Adams. Maybe he makes it look easy because of who he is, but I'm anxious to see how they try to attack him and how they try to defend him, because whatever they did last year, that wasn't it. that was not it.
Oh, without a doubt, you better play man and you better jam it. I remember back in the day, Money, when the Niners were on that tear and they played the Giants and Parcells and Belichick. They went out there and they did not play zone. They came at Jerry Rice in Montana and they played man. And it confused them, and they started hitting them, and that's how they won. If they would have played zone, they would have ate them up. And that's what Belichick said. Just what you're alluding to, because he's too good. If you play zone on Davante Adams, he's going to find that soft spot every time, if the quarterback has time, and he's going to eat you up. You can't stop him. He's just, like you said, he's fluid. He knows where to sit. He understands what the defense is trying to do. You have to disrupt him, and that's got to be man coverage. You're 1,000% right.
Yeah, and that was something that would sort of frustrate us when we would watch the games against the Chiefs is why is Travis Kelce getting all these free releases? Just jam them, just disrupt that timing a little. And especially in week one, when you're healthy, when you've got, look, let's not forget, by the way, I talked about Max Crosby in that week 4 matchup. Let's not forget about Khalil Mack now. Let's not forget about what he was able to do in that game as well. 6 sacks. So it's not like,
Right.
that was a one-sided thing. But when you've got that front, when you've got all 4 of these guys available this week, when you've got Bosa, Mack, Thule, Bud Dupree, get up on these guys and let that pass rush get home by the time if you have any issues. You know what I mean? Like that to me is the combo is let's lean on what is the strength of this defense, and that's the pass rush, and assume that, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get up and I'm playing man, and I gotta stick with this guy for 2 to 2.5 seconds. And by that time, my guys are home. Let's say 1 3/4 to 2 seconds. I've got to be able to stick with him. And by then, I've got pressure, quarterback's on the move, and advantage us. So it's going to be fun. To me, everybody, and I get it, it's Justin Herbert. He's one of the best football players that we'll ever see wear a Charger uniform by the time this is all said and done. But to me, the defense is the side of the ball that I think I'm more excited about watching how Jesse Minter is going to put this whole thing together.
Oh, no question. I can't wait to see them back. And I think another part, when you can't get home, hey, 1, 2, 3, bat some balls down. I think that's good. You have a huge quarterback advantage as far as height. The defensive line, like you're saying, hey, look, if we can't get home, let's knock some balls down. Let's make him get out his spot. Let's get him up, let's get that pressure in the middle that make this quarterback move, make him one-dimensional, make him throw to one half of the field because of some of the things that you're talking about this defense can do. I'm looking forward to this chess piece. I'm looking forward to this chess match. I can't wait to see these guys fly around. Which the talking's over. We had long training camp. You see what the Chargers did. It's a overhaul the roster. They went out, brought in Harbaugh. This is what people wanted to see. Give the people what they want to see. You have the coach. You have the horses. If you can't get along, you might as well get it on. And that's what they're going to be doing Sunday, man. And I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap it up. There's it's a feeling out. There are so many unknowns. Like it is I think I said this last week. It's the most blind I felt going into a season about having very little idea of what they're going to do, how they're going to call a game, where the strengths are going to be, where the weaknesses are going to be, how they're going to account for the weaknesses and overcome them. Can they finally operate a 4-minute drill, which they haven't been able to do for the last few years because they haven't had a run game? Will the strength is up front? Will the secondary hold up? They've got faith in this former high round pick that didn't work out in Tennessee and Christian Fulton. Is AJ Finley going to be able to kind of carry over from the as an undrafted free agent last year, who developed on that practice squad and on the roster? Is he going to be able to carry that over as a legitimate third safety? How are they going to deploy Derwin? There's just so many. Is it a Gus Edwards game? Is it a J.K. Dobbins game? Is it, like you say, is it 22? Is it 12? Are they playing 11? And, and that's why they're carrying 7 receivers, because they're going to be in 11 all the time. And just spread it out and Joe Burrow it, and have 4 receivers out there and just, hey, Herbert, take it, find the guy, hot read, let's go. And that way, Tom Brady it, the way Tom Brady used to operate, the way Burrow operates, just you can't touch him if the ball's gone in a second and a half and where the open man's going to be. Like, there are so many different ways they can deploy this. And I'm excited to see what they choose, which path they choose.
Well, they get this win money because it's your birthday. They got to win. It's your birthday. They got to take care of the Raiders for you.
Yeah, that's obviously that's the main reason, right? My birthday was a couple weeks ago. Take care of me, damn it.
Not too long ago, and I forgot. Right. I'd be remiss if I didn't do this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Maddie. Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
I love working with you, Matt.
How about that? Low with the pipes. Jeez, that is impressive.
Love working with you, buddy. You're the best. I
appreciate that. Thank you. Man, that might be the best gift I got outside of the old man sending me the Dunkin' Donuts gift card. which I appreciate as well, because that's what I need. I need more donuts. My old man is 83 years old. He
Ah,
eats donuts and coffee. I'm not kidding. He eats a donut and drinks coffee every single morning.
I
he
love him.
is he
That's
is still
awesome.
healthy, still works, still tearing up houses and rebuilding them at 83. And the secret to his longevity: coffee, diet soda, or no, full sugar soda,
Yeah.
and donuts and
And
coffee. So
working,
there you
baby.
go.
He's working.
And
Let him keep
working.
it. Yep. But
That's what
that's
it is.
awesome, brother.
Well, I appreciate it, Lo. We're going to be able to recap a game. I hope that we're talking about the Chargers at 1-0. I feel strongly that's what it's going to be, and then we'll be gone for a couple. We'll be gone for a couple weeks out in Carolina, and then up to Pittsburgh. So very excited about this thing getting kicked off. There's no way that I would rather have it be anything else. But Raiders, week 1, set the tone. Open the Harbaugh era with a victory. Kick the Chargers or kick the Raiders fans right in the gut,
Yeah.
and get this thing rolling.
Let's do it. You're the best,
All right.
honey.
Well, we appreciate all of you. Thanks so much for watching, downloading, rating, reviewing. And we'll be back next week, as we said, knocking this thing out week in and week out. Here we go, guys. 17 games in 18 weeks. Cannot wait to get this thing started.
Game time. Let's go.